Bears QB Nick Foles will start Sunday.
Sure. Saw that coming. All right, we should be live.
You're back Wednesday, right? You said?
Yeah, Wednesday afternoon.
I'm playing. I have a tee time at Penmar on Thursday at 1:20. If you're interested.
Maybe. Yeah, I just got so much stuff.
I'll-
We are live on YouTube.
Cool. I'll see if Tug or Laz are down in
Yeah.
there. If you want to join, we can see about adding.
Okay, cool. All right, let's do this. Episode 663. We're live in 5, 4, 3. Welcome to the Dirty Sports Podcast. I am your host, Andy Ruther, coming to you live from Cincinnati, Ohio, with my co-host via Los Angeles, California, Joey No Chill Prano.
Feels so good not to do that and to hear you do it, Andy. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you, Joe. It's good to be back. It really is.
You seem like in fairly good spirits considering everything that's gone down. We've been talking for a few minutes before the show. Seems like you're hanging in there.
Yeah, man. Thanks. It's you're gonna get me all emotional off the gate. It's been obviously the toughest year of my life, the toughest month of my life with my dad, and last week was just so emotionally draining. And it's I tell people what I've gone through and what my family's gone through. It's surreal, and I know you and I have talked about that. It's like I'm living in a dream at times. But I'm very fortunate to have great support from a big family, from friends, from people like you, Tug, the Dirtballs, and it truly has made a huge difference on days where I'm just really, really depressed. And I really want to just say, Joe, like the Dirtballs, like such a big thanks to you guys.
Prayer hands
yeah.
emoji.
Yeah,
high five emoji.
Exactly. I received so many, not just kind, compassionate, and heartfelt messages, but supportive and uplifting messages from the DirtBall Fam, and it truly does mean a lot to me. And I'm not just saying that. I genuinely take to heart all the messages I've been sent, or tweets, or Venmo donations, or an impressive gift card for Jeff Ruby's steakhouse. He has 3 steakhouses in Cincinnati, and Jay Lloyd orchestrated a whole thing with Dirtballs. It was a very nice gift, and I don't want to go through
that Mean Girls chat that you dubbed it. It came through for you, huh? You might have to rename that chat to the donation girls.
They always come through, and they did during my mom's passing. And I, guys, I wish I could shout out individual names. There's just so many people, but I just want everyone to know that I'm doing my best, and I'm definitely gonna have my days. Like I was crying a lot this morning, and it's crazy. You think you can't cry anymore, but you do. And you know me, I'm very open and honest with my feelings. And but I do want to say, like, I'm here because of my dad, as far as with sports. Like my dad is, like, he introduced me to sports, and my memories going back to my first Reds games, to Xavier basketball, to the Cincinnati Bengals. It's like, I do this show because my dad was that, he was the match that started the fire for me loving sports, and he ignited it. And I know how big a part, and you and Tug did such an amazing job of saying this. Like, my dad was such a big part of this show, through the stories, through you and I joking about him, through the videos. And I think that shows, and I hear that from the Dirtballs. And, he's still going to be here with us, and we're still going to be able to laugh about Walt and honor him in the only way we could do, through all his idiosyncrasies and how he was. And Joe, because obviously you've been around my dad a lot too.
Yeah, and honestly, like, going through it, like I saw, I don't know where it came up or why it came up. I think maybe it was even like just pretty close to like the anniversary of it. Maybe Nick Dale shared it or something like that. But the Cincinnati trip, it was in my like Google Photos, came up as like 4 years ago or whatever. Like the picture that we recreated, that we did in New York and recreated in Cincinnati, of all of the dirt balls that came to your pitch around your dad in the middle. Your dad is the centerpiece. I'm on the side, you're on the side. Your dad is the focus of this picture. And you can just see on all the dirt balls' faces and Walt's face this smile of like, I can't believe, like your dad's like, I can't believe I'm surrounded by these fucking lunatics. And the dirt balls all have this like smile, like, I can't believe Walt is in the middle of this picture. And I think a lot of people were like more excited to meet Walt than they were to meet us. And you know, you said your dad got you started on sports, and like the bottom line is there's no dirty sports without Walt. There really isn't.
No, you're right. My dad, he did, like, you summed it up best. He thought the dirt balls were lunatics, as we all do, but he still loved them. And my dad was, he truly was a kind-hearted man. As much ball busting as he would do, he was a genuine person. And you're right. I was, and it's, my whole family knows this, and I want the dirt balls to know this. My sister-in-law, who, she doesn't listen to the show, my brother Greg's wife, but she was in New York. She was in Cincinnati, right, for both pitches. She said it's so obvious how much they fed off each other when the dirt balls would chant Walt, 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 and he would stand up and do his awkward look on his face. It could not have been more obvious of the love that the dirt balls and Walt had for each other.
Yeah, it was awesome. And look, you already said, how great the dirt balls have been. And I said it with Tug the other day, and I just want to reiterate it. It's like in times like these, in times of your mom passing, my dad passing, I mean, even going back to like Vince, like the way people show up the dirt balls in times of distress, it really is like, it really is such a great reminder to me, and I'm sure to you, like the way that like the heart and soul of this show is the dirt balls. And that, just like a lot of the criticisms that, we hear in sports or we see on social media about the way leagues handle things or players say things or whatever, is like the miserable sort of nasty ones. They really are the vocal minority, and the ones that are laying in the weeds and whose names you only see when times are tough and they're trying to like share positivity. Just like, it really is heartwarming, like how much the great fans of our show outnumber like the miserable, mean assholes.
And that's the thing. I don't even want to talk about, to me, I'm don't even mentioning those type of people because they're not worthy of it. Like the amount of messages I got from people saying, hey man, I'm not really on Twitter. I'm not really on Instagram. And I just wanted to let you know that I care, that I'm thinking about you, or I'm praying for you. And I want to reiterate to everybody listening, you guys also inspire me. And I mean that. If you're not messaging me, I don't, what is my drive to go on? What is my drive when Joe or myself is going through something that's really difficult, like we've gone through in the last year? You guys do uplift us, and there's no show without you guys. And I want to reiterate that time and time again, because without dirt balls, there's no dirty sports. So I have so much love for everyone right now, and I'll never forget how everyone has been so kind and compassionate, and it means the world to me and to my family. And
Andy, I'm glad you can bask in the positivity and shut out the negativity. Obviously, we're different kinds of people. I will find and kill those negative people, Taken style, and you just focus on the good stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Guys, I will find you and I will kill you.
I don't have the time and energy for that right now.
I got nothing but time and energy, motherfuckers.
Yeah, my energy right now is on all the good things, and there's been so much good through loss and through sorrow for me. And one of those good things is I got the blessing from you, Tug, and the Dirtballs. My Cincinnati Reds are making the playoffs.
Yeah, dude, we decided as the dirty sports to give the Reds the bump. You weren't here on the show, and that's good. We didn't we want the Reds to get the proper bump. We didn't want it spoiled by Andy Ruther curse. So it was like a perfect storm of situations. It can get the un-Ruthered dirty sports bump, and I feel great about your Reds' chances. I mean, I think anything is possible, certainly in a 60-game season, playoffs, a shortened first round. You're talking 3 games. I think anything's possible, and I love the Reds' chances. Who's their matchup right now?
The Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, fuck Atlanta. Fuck Atlanta.
Here's what I like about the Reds.
I'm the biggest Reds fan in the world.
Yeah.
I hate the Braves. Their tomahawk chop is offensive on multiple levels. Let's go Reds.
Well, what I like about the Reds, no matter who they play, I would put the Reds 3, Bauer, Castillo, and Gray against any 3. I would. Like, of the 16 teams in the playoffs,
and that's all that matters, really.
Those guys
have 3 starters.
Exactly. And those guys have backed it up. Bauer it's going to come down, basically it's Bauer, DeGrom, and Darvish for the Cy Young, obviously a shortened season Cy Young, but I like their chances. Now the Reds, can they hit? No. Awful.
Right.
220 team batting average. I mean,
yeah.
It's beyond awful. That's a concern.
But could Matthew McConaughey in Angels in the outfield field before there was Angels? No. But now with Walt holding Joey Votto's bat for him, the Reds are going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, so I'm excited. The Reds obviously went on a great run the last basically 15 games, and they're one of the hottest teams in baseball. And I realistically think, and I don't know if this is me being a homer, but we're 60 games in. I realistically think, Joe, if this is a 162-game season, the Reds are hitting that point of the season of their stride where it's like, I thought that, they would have eventually run away with that division had it been a real season, but it wasn't. And
wow, run away with it.
I think so. I think they were starting to get in the groove that well, but
now's the time. It's all about being hot.
One gripe I am going to have is against our division rival, the Cardinals. And I know a lot of people have tweeted about it. Trevor Bauer has tweeted about it. The Cardinals and the Tigers are the only teams that didn't play 60 games. The Cardinals finished 30-28 with a .517 winning percentage. The Reds were 30-29, also a .517 winning percentage. So my gripe is they're a 5 seed. The Reds are a 7. They didn't even give the Reds the opportunity to.
So the Reds played 59 games, or the Reds will play?
No, the Reds played 60. The Reds were 31 and 29.
Got it.
The Cardinals and Tigers are the only 2 teams in baseball that didn't play 60 games. So they had 2 games left between each other. So I guess my only gripe right now is the Reds weren't given a chance to improve their seeding because baseball said going in, if the teams were set to make the playoffs, we weren't going to let a team improve its seeding, even though the Reds and Cardinals have identical winning percentages.
Right.
It's bullshit.
And honestly, there's a lot of issues with this. If you're looking to be fair, the Reds, typically in baseball standings, you're going by wins, like just straight up wins. Like I understand that they didn't have an opportunity to finish those games, but it goes both ways. They didn't have an opportunity to win those games. They didn't have an opportunity to lose those games. It seems to me like if they're going to have the exact same winning percentage, that defer to the team that didn't go to a casino and get players to have COVID And at the same time, I understand that they won the season series against the Reds, but that's only a tiebreaker when they're tied, which they're not. You guys have more wins.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my one big qualm about this whole situation. Now, you would know better than me. Maybe the Braves are a better matchup for the Reds versus the Padres. I don't know. So,
I mean, to be totally honest with you, if it were the Mets, I'd rather play the Braves than the Padres. I mean, I know that the Braves are pretty darn good as well, but when you talk about like this shortened season and guys getting hot and pitchers getting hot or players, guys in the lineup getting hot, like I don't want anything to do with Manny Machado or Fernando Tatis Jr.
yeah.
And not that the Braves don't have their fair share of players, not that they don't have probably a significantly better rotation, especially with only having to start a couple of guys, but I'd rather be playing the Braves.
Yeah. And, the Central showed up. 4 of the 8 teams in the playoffs for the National League are the NL Central. So it was obviously a very like dog eat dog division, right? They were all kind of beating each other up for the most part. As we briefly look at this, Joe, because we got a lot to discuss today, who do you like? I mean, do you have any favorites from both leagues? Obviously the Rays and Dodgers, the 2 best records in baseball. Who do you like, or are there teams that you like as sleepers?
It's gonna be tough. I think that the Dodgers lineup is ridiculous, and I think that guys have not played even up to their potential in the Dodgers lineup, which makes them that much more scary. But the flip side of that coin is I still think Dave Roberts is the Doc Rivers of Major League Baseball. You have shortened series, especially in that first round. I think anything can happen. As far as like sleepers to win it all, I don't really have. I think anything is possible, but I think that I like your Reds' chances of playing deeper into the playoffs than maybe they should. I love the Padres. They got the dirty slides bump. They brought back the Brown like we begged them to. That year one, they're in the playoffs. They have 2 of the best players in baseball on their team and guys that are Machado is hot as hell, and Fernando Tatis Jr. Was insane to start the year and obviously has that potential. The Yankees have been playing really well, but I'm not a huge Aaron Boone fan either. I guess not really a sleeper, but like you look at a team like the A's, so many years they haven't gotten it done in the playoffs, and is this the year that they get to do it in like the asterisk season?
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about Oakland. Like, is this the year where Beanball and Moneyball actually produces a title?
Obviously, this is they lost probably their best player in Chapman. So that's going to make it tough for them. But like, I'll do this. Let me, instead of talking about sleepers, like I don't think the Marlins have a chance. I think the Marlins are in solely because it's a shortened season. You got to like what the Blue Jays are doing, but they're matched up against a division rival. I don't see the Blue Jays going very far. I think the Astros, it's just, I mean, they didn't play, like the idea that the Astros are in with how bad they were like on a player by player basis is actually surprising, and I don't think they'll be great. In the AL, Cleveland's 4, but Bieber's insane. Like their pitching is strong. I like Cleveland. I like the Twins. I like
real quick.
I like the A's.
Do you think Bieber? Do the Biebers know each other?
It's probably a great question.
Have the Biebers ever hung out? Have they ever hung out?
I have a feeling like Shane Bieber knows Justin Bieber, but Justin Bieber probably doesn't know Shane Bieber.
Because I thought Justin Bieber was like I think he likes sports.
Does he?
He thinks he's good at basketball. Remember, he used to post some of
Okay.
those. He used to
He's
post
like
stuff.
Little Bow Wow. He used to play a lot of celebrity games.
Well, no, he used to post stuff on Instagram when nobody's guarding him, and he thought he was good. But
Right.
I'm not saying he's good. I'm just wondering. I think that's a great question. Does Justin Bieber know how good of a pitcher Shane Bieber is?
Let's get Justin Bieber on. And we've got Justin Bieber here to answer that question. Justin?
Can you do a Justin Bieber?
No, I don't even know what Justin Bieber sounds like.
Yeah, I was like, man, what's Prano been working on since I've been gone? Did he get a Justin Bieber impression down?
Yeah. What do you think of Shane Bieber's curveball? Oh, he's got that yummy. Has anybody ever described a curveball as yummy?
It's very sexual to describe a curveball as yummy. Do you like the format, the bubbles?
Yeah, fuck it. Let's go. I mean, I think baseball more than any of the other sports, like it really just does not feel like a proper baseball season.
Yeah.
Even from the awards standpoint, I know you were talking about like DeGrom and Bauer and Darvish. It's like the idea that Jacob DeGrom is going to potentially have a break in his 7 consecutive Cy Young runs for this is like unfair. It just doesn't feel like a real baseball season to me.
Is that the Joe Prano prediction? 7 straight?
Yeah. Well, 2 and then a break and then 5.
Sure.
But like it almost feels like a baseball tournament.
Yeah.
More than it feels like a baseball season. And it's fine. Like I love baseball. And as much as I love baseball, it's still going to take a back seat to the NBA finals.
I was just going to say
take a back seat to football on Sundays.
Yeah. Baseball is the redheaded stepchild. 100% at this point. Like
no one's a bigger baseball guy than me, but like I ain't watching it over. Like I have 2 TVs set up in the living room on Sundays. Like baseball ain't getting the big TV.
Yeah. I will say yesterday showed me, even me with my hometown team. I had, I don't have multiple TVs set up here at my parents' house. And I had the Cowboys Seahawks game on, and I had the Reds game on my iPad. To me, that shows it's like, where are the priorities? Final game, they were in extra innings against the Twins. I still was like, come on. I got to watch football, especially that game was wild. But all right, it sounds like anything is possible. Like we're continuing the what's the word I'm looking for? We're kind of basically continuing what we thought would happen when you, Tug, and myself discussed the whole notion of the theme, I should say, anything is possible. We'll just run that for the postseason for Major League Baseball.
Yeah, no, I absolutely think so. I mean, the idea of saying, oh, the Dodgers are 100% going to be in the World Series just to me seems ludicrous given the way that this is all set up. I mean, same goes for, Tampa Bay, same goes for the Yankees, same goes for like any of these big teams. Like the idea, I think anybody is susceptible to anything in a 3-game series. And then, I mean, even look at football and what's going on in basketball right now, like the home court, the home crowd, that stuff is a major factor. And I think it probably didn't play as much into the baseball season as it will in the baseball postseason. So no crowds, neutral site games, all that stuff, I think is literally anything is possible, especially in these first rounds.
Yeah, well, let's segue into the NBA. The finals are set. The Heat, Lakers, 2 completely different runs as far as you have a 5 seed, which dominated. I mean, let's not underscore. They dominated.
Undersell,
undersell. That's the word I'm looking for. Through the playoffs, and the Lakers dominated. But I feel like obviously the surprise was the Miami Heat.
Yeah, absolutely. As a 5 seed, I mean, we could talk about how much the bubble affected things in the Eastern Conference. I think the Lakers not being able to play, the Lakers being the 1 seed, not having those games in Staples, how much different could it go? They sweep every series. It's like it really didn't seem to affect the Lakers that much. I mean, they have the two of the best players. They have the single greatest basketball player to ever walk the face of the earth. That's a good start. On the flip side, on the East, I like this Heat team. I think this Heat team came together fantastically. I think young players on this team have blossomed into knowing exactly what their role is. Spoelstra, I think, has blossomed into a coach that, was given these kind of teams the last few years and got it done to some extent with, the starless team. Then you add a Jimmy Butler type of star. Like, I really like this Heat team. I'm not saying that this wasn't possible outside of a bubble. In fact, I think it was very possible outside of a bubble. But I think more so in the Eastern Conference, especially how quickly they ran through the Bucks specifically. They were probably helped by not playing, road games, by especially, when you look at Hero and Duncan Robinson, like the shooting, which we've been talking about since the beginning of the bubble, shooting's been off the charts in the bubble. I am the world's biggest LeBron stan. I think LeBron has proven once again how dominant he is, and that there's no one in his class in the history of the game. But the Heat will give them a series.
Oh yeah.
Because they've got guys to throw at him. They've got they're just a deeper team. They're just like there's a more consistently average like quality of player as opposed to LeBron and AD and then a drop off. I am not overlooking this Heat team as a guy who is obviously rooting for the Lakers to win.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people are, and they just have a good all around team, excellent chemistry. I think you guys did a great job last week, and we need to kind of re-acknowledge, Erik Spoelstra has been underrated by including myself.
I mean, I've said that as well. And look, this same thing goes for Erik Spoelstra. That goes for a lot. Like, Spoelstra came in young. He's like a video guy, blah, blah. He gets pretty early on. He gets handed the super teams. They only win 2 out of 4. You can put that on LeBron all you want. You can put that on whatever the case may be. You can put that on the Spurs being really good. You can put that on whatever. But like, the bottom line is, and I don't even really think it's fair to say that those teams underachieved. Again, I think the most disrespected team in the history of American professional sports is the 2011 Dallas Mavericks, and the way people still talk about them. And like, I get embarrassed for people's basketball opinions when they're like, this will be the worst team to win since the Mavericks. It's like, you guys, like, just stop talking basketball if you're like talking about the Mavericks. That Mavericks team was great. That Mavericks team pissed and shit on the defending champ Lakers.
2-time defending champ.
Yeah, but the bottom line is, you look at that run and going 2-4, you could argue you swap Pop and Spoelstra. Do they at least go 3-4? Did they go 4? Like, at the time, Now, that being said, everybody grows, and that's something we're certainly going to talk about, in the way some of these quarterbacks, from Josh Allen to Russ to Aaron Rodgers, the way people get kind of, the way people go, oh, this is what this person is. It's like Erik Spoelstra became a better basketball coach. Bottom line.
Well, it's something small, but watching the game last night at the end, I picked up on something. They won the game. And maybe this is just who Erik Spoelstra is as a person. There's the truth is I don't know that much about him personally, but he was so calm. He wasn't after the game. It just, you could just see the look on his face. The look on his face to me was, we're not done.
Yeah.
You know, it was a very reserved, hey, I've been here before. I've
Yeah.
been to 4 titles. I've won 2. But the look on his face, which I thought to me is, if I'm a Heat fan, I like that look of, cool, we won. I'm not overly celebrating because we still have one more series to take care of. And I think he obviously has been underrated, which brings me to my next point. Have we overrated Brad Stevens? He's been there for 7 years, 3 conference finals. Am I correct? And
yeah,
this isn't to take a dig at Brad Stevens, because I think he's a very, very good coach, but have we all in general overrated him?
I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, I think that when you talk about Spoelstra and the overrating and the underrating of Spoelstra, again, it's like he grew as a coach. He didn't have the stars anymore, and he has still gotten to the NBA Finals, and that's something. When you look at the Doc Rivers has not improved 1 second as a coach, and that's why when you talk about guys being overrated, it's like, I mean, how many World Series is Dave Roberts going to go to before he figures it the fuck out? Like, grow as a coach. I feel like maybe in the underrating or overrating, I should say, of Brad Stevens is when Kyrie was there, what he was able to get from Kyrie, because now he's kind of, in the last 4 years, he's gone to 3 conference finals. The year he didn't make it was when he had a healthy Kyrie, and a lot of people are saying, oh, what this Celtics team was missing was a veteran bucket getter, which Kyrie obviously is that guy. But, it's sort of the balance. It's like he also got there without him 3 times because he's a pretty darn good coach. Now, Phil Jackson had a guy like that and won 5 championships with him. So there's like the strategy coach, there's the ego managing coach, there's all these things. And it's like, when you have the best players, winning is a lot easier.
Yeah.
What's impressive about Erik Spoelstra, and to some bit of a lesser degree, what's still impressive about Brad Stevens, is they're the ones in the Eastern Conference Finals. They don't have Giannis. They don't have, Kawhi last year. Obviously, Kawhi and the Raptors won it. But, like, these guys being able to get there without the stars, and this is no diss of Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is a star, but, like, Giannis isn't in the finals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and again, I think that the Heat, it's team basketball, and you see it when you watch them. They don't get rattled. And watching last night's game, it's a very tight game, and they just knew how to basically excel when it mattered most all series, right?
I think a big difference between these two teams is Jason Tatum is supposed to be the Celtics' Jimmy Butler, and Jason Tatum's still 22 years old.
Sure.
And, you look at how young the Celtics are. It is a testament to Brad Stevens that he's there every year, essentially.
Yeah.
So
who do you like, Joe? Joe, can we make any predictions? The series
I like the Lakers in 6.
Okay.
I think a lot of people are underrating or underestimating this Heat team. I've seen a lot of Lakers sweep. I've seen a lot of Lakers in 5. I think the thing that really gives the Heat a nice bump is this bubble idea. Forget the shooting, forget the whatever. Is like, they're not in Miami. Going back and forth between Miami and LA when you're a young team, when you're like, I saw a great tweet that was like, after Hero's performance, if he was he would have been like on South Beach with Madonna, like at a club. Instead, he's going back to his hotel room and having a Nature Valley bar. Like, and it's great, and it's a good point. Like, they're a very young team, and they're getting contributions from a lot of these young guys, and they're not having to travel back and forth across the country.
And you're right, and that's a
major metropolises, 2 major big cities. I mean, COVID or not, I mean, the Cardinals can't not go to a casino. The idea that
on the river.
Yeah. The idea that Duncan Robinson isn't going around LA and Miami as a guy who's in the NBA finals and being like, what's up, is like kind of ridiculous, you know? So, but at the same time, LeBron is a machine. LeBron has been sent back in time to crush the legacy of Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? Like, he's the Terminator. There's no rhyme or reason other than he's on some performance enhancing drugs, he's a robot, or he's the greatest athlete in team sports that we've ever seen for what he's doing at his age, for how long he's done it consistently, for how many years in a row he's participated in NBA finals, for how many Olympics he played in that time, for how many minutes he played in that time. There is nothing like this in the history of sports.
Well, he's certainly defied so far, and it'll eventually catch up to him. He's defied father time. Unlike,
I mean, we always talk about Brett Favre, like, oh my God, I mean, to play quarterback that many consecutive games, he has 6 days off in between games. He has a painkiller addiction. Like,
yeah,
LeBron's playing every other day, multiple Olympics, going to the finals. You know, everybody can, you know, jack off Jordan all they want. Rewatch The Last Dance. He was physically and emotionally exhausted because he had to finally get through that Pistons team, and then he had to play in 3 consecutive finals. LeBron's playing in, what is this, his 10th finals?
Yeah. Well, look, dude, I know you like to go down that. I don't even want to go down that, because for me, nothing's going to change people's opinions at this point.
But this is the kind of thing that should. 36, 16, and 10, 36, whatever it is, 36, 16, and 10. Doing it again, doing it with a third team, doing it in the bubble.
I agree, but sadly it won't, though, Joe. It just won't. I mean, people have made their minds up on the Michael Jordan, LeBron James debate, which is sad. People, for some reason, they don't view sports and athletes and performance as a fluid process, which it is. You know, it's a constantly evolving, it's a malleable process. It doesn't remain stagnant, which I don't get why people say that, because these are interchanging parts that are constantly moving. Just like Erik Spoeltra, like we said, has evolved as a coach, has become better, has progressed. Just like some guys, you know, get worse. So look, I think obviously it's going to add to his legacy if they win another title, without a doubt. It's fun to watch them play. It's fun to watch Anthony Davis. But I want to say this is a great NBA Finals for straight white males. We have Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson.
Well, first of all, how do you know these guys are straight? I mean,
Good point. Fair enough.
Young guys. I mean, LeBron. You know, the older guys who have their wives and their kids is one thing. Like, and I ain't been out to the club with Duncan Robinson. Let's see when, you know, when things open back up, and Duncan Robinson is a guy who played in an NBA Finals. Let's see who he's going to the club with. You know,
okay,
see what
fair
clubs
enough.
He's going to.
I spoke too soon. I stand corrected. It's a great finals for all these white guys who can actually play basketball.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Sure. From Caruso, Hero,
Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah. Hell, Frank Vogel. Look at Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel's the like, when you look up straight white guy in a dictionary, it's a picture of Frank Vogel in his khakis.
And I want to give him some love right now too.
Frank Vogel with the third zip like jackets he wears. This guy's, he's ready.
Have you seen his calves, by the way? I think we've talked about this.
No, I haven't.
Bro,
his calves are ridiculous.
He is ripped in the legs.
That's awesome. Good for Frank Vogel.
Yeah. It was a social media thing earlier this year, like a team photo. They're like, Jesus, what is this guy doing on leg day? Frank Vogel has some calves. But yeah, I think he's done a great job as well too in keeping the team together. And obviously he had a pretty good history with the Pacers and didn't go as well, in Orlando, but I'm excited. I like where your head's at.
Maybe LeBron's best coach he's ever had, given where both are at their point in their career. We just said how Spoelstra's underrated, and maybe some would argue that I'm still underrating him by saying this, but I just have seen so much growth in the way Spoelstra has handled teams. Props to him, obviously, for winning 2 titles with the LeBron Wade thing, but like Vogel is a mature veteran head coach, and he's got LeBron now as opposed to a younger LeBron, a younger Spoelstra. Like, and it's shown. I mean, for all the props we want to give the Heat, the Lakers fucking cruised to the finals.
Yeah. Well, I guess my next point, if we're both kind of leaning, because I'm leaning like you, Lakers in 6, the next question would be, who would get that MVP? Because they are both LeBron and Anthony Davis are playing at such an exceptional level.
To me, look, I don't think, here's what I'll say. I'm not sure. I know no more than one of those guys cares. LeBron doesn't give a shit. I mean, I think getting the MVP and getting the finals MVP, he knows that's like part of the whole legacy conversation. But at this point, I think that he just wants to win a championship. I mean, the way he talks about, he wants to get AD his first championship. The bottom line is, though, and Anthony Davis has put up some great scoring numbers. Anthony Davis has also had some games where he's got 1 rebound, 2 rebounds. He's playing on the outside. Like, the idea that Anthony Davis is more valuable to that Lakers team than LeBron James. I don't care if he averages 40 in the series and LeBron averages 22. The most valuable player on that Lakers team is LeBron James.
I agree. But again, Andre Iguodala has won the MVP. My point is the voters don't make the right decision at all times.
Right. And we shall see. I think having a discussion of most valuable player before the series has started is, maybe a little bit offensive to even the Miami Heat. But at the same time, it's just like the most valuable player in this NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Regardless of which teams win, will be LeBron James.
Here's a fun LeBron fact. I don't know if you saw this. I saw this tweeted out. I think the NBA Finals, as far as when the NBA and the ABA merged, I want to say it was 1970 or 1972. Well, regardless, since then, LeBron James himself has competed in 13.5% of the total NBA Finals.
Yeah, it's insane. He's been in more finals than like all but like 3 franchises.
Yeah, he joins as far as the most ever. I forget who's ahead of him. Maybe Kareem.
I think it's just Bill Russell and Sam Jones. I don't even think Kareem played in 10.
Well, I think Kareem's tied with him for 10.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Could be wrong on that.
But if a player tomorrow, and knock on wood, I don't want this to happen to anybody on any team, but if a player tomorrow falls in the, Disney pond while they're fishing and cannot play in the NBA Finals, no player will affect the lines, the predictions, the Vegas odds more than LeBron James.
Sure.
Not Jimmy Butler, not if Erik Spoelstra is not coaching, not if Anthony Davis. LeBron James will be the most valuable player in this Finals. Now, will he win that award? I guess we'll find out.
Totally agree. 100% agree. Well, Joe, let's get to some NFL discussions. But before we do
some football?
Yeah. Before we do that, I want to remind all the Dirtballs that Dirty Sports is proud to be presented by FanDuel Fantasy. That's right, guys. FanDuel is now offering daily snake drafts. Joe, I know you love the snake draft. You've always been a big fan of snake drafts.
I do. It's a sneaky snake drafts. Yeah. No, it's fun going back and forth, and especially like the head-to-head snake drafts. Just trying to outsmart your opponent. I love them.
Yeah, guys. The drafts start. You can draft your team live, and draft start as soon as the contest fills. You and your opponents will draft 6 players in a 6-round draft with 30 seconds per pick. Unlike other FanDuel contests, there is no salary cap. Just sign up, and FanDuel will give you a free entry to a contest each week of the football season where you can win real prizes. Also, for anyone who wants to deposit, FanDuel is now offering a $500 bonus instantly when you make your first deposit with our 20% deposit match. Simply go to FanDuel.com/dirty or download the FanDuel Fantasy app to play now. That is FanDuel.com/dirty. FanDuel, more ways to win. Okay. Lots to break down. I was back in the grind myself yesterday, Joe, watching all the games. So let's break down the games we want to discuss, and we'll just fly through the games we really don't care about. And,
love it.
Go ahead.
I just said love it. You go.
Gotcha.
You go ahead. I don't have the games in front of me, so I'm just going to follow your lead.
Okay, let's start off with Thursday. Your boy Fitz showed up. I did not watch this, so I really don't have a take in it. Judging from the stats, judging from the highlights I watched, the write-ups, it was a very Fitz game where he was the mentor to Minshew, and Minshew was, the young one trying to learn how to play.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't it was a very Thursday night football game. And Tug and I talked about it that day, is like the idea that the Jaguars, who were favorites, like come out and win that game, no problem, was absurd. Thursday night football, short week. Minshew really tends to be this guy who like gets people so hyped, gets people to believe so much, and like almost always, I mean, I know he's young, but it's like the hype train almost surpasses the talent train. But I did see something based on how my boy Fitz played in that. I saw a couple of things. First of all, he's like top 35 all time in yards and TDs now. I think he passed somebody during the course of that game. But also this coming week in a game against ya boy, Sunday's Dolphins Seahawks game is a matchup of two of the league's top 6 QBs per QBR. So a nice little quarterback matchup coming in Seahawks Dolphins.
It might be a shootout, judging from how poor the defense, especially the defensive backs for the Seahawks, have been playing. Yeah, good stuff. I didn't see that game, but you're right. It looked like a very Thursday night football-esque game. All right.
I quickly before we move on, I just want to say that at some point earlier this year, I was mocked and scolded for saying that Ryan Fitzpatrick makes the Vikings better.
I'm not going to change my tune on that yet. I'm not ready.
Even for cost, even for value, even as a cost per play value.
Okay, well, that's a different situation I think you have there. Look, I'm obviously not the biggest Kirk Cousins guy. He is number one on your hit list at this point, I've noticed.
I just think that, like, we do a lot of quarterback breakdowns on this show, and you really can't you really can't ignore what guys get paid. And Tug and I have gone down the rabbit hole a ton of times about rookie contracts and whatever. And the bottom line is, I think Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. Okay. And if I was starting a franchise tomorrow and you said, hey, you got to pay Patrick Mahomes $500 million or Deshaun Watson will play for you for free, I'll take Deshaun Watson over Patrick Mahomes, because value is part of building your team, is how much you pay each of these guys. But Kirk Cousins is getting $30 million to be really fucking bad. He's the least valuable player in the NFL.
Well, they are now 0-3. They lost to the Titans at home, who've now jumped to 3-0. This was a back and forth game. Cousins did not play well. Dalvin Cook played very well, 181 rushing yards.
He manages to overcome that offensive line.
I noticed you getting into it on the Twitter sphere with some faceless Kirk Cousins defenders.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Shout out to Pedotti, though. My boy Pedotti, we made a bet on the season, and I gave him an out clause. I gave him a $20 discount if he wanted to get out early, and he took it. He bet.
Smart move.
We bet on whether or not the Vikings would make the NFC Championship game. $100 to him if they did, $100 to me if they didn't. I said, I think it was $300. I would give him a $300 to my 100 if they did make it. Only if he gave me 300 if they don't make the playoffs at all. He paid me after week 2. They're 0-3. They're in a good division with 2 3-0 teams, and they're not making the playoffs.
No. Bigger question, and then we'll move on because I know we've delved into Kirk Cousins so much on the show already. Will Kirk Cousins be the Minnesota Vikings starting quarterback 2021?
I don't know. It seems to me like not if anybody there has a brain.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's a lot of people, and some of them seem to be in the Minnesota Vikings organization. And, like, I'm just so sick of hearing about, like, people blaming offensive lines. It's like Dalvin Cook's running for 160 yards. Like, their offensive line is good enough for that.
Well, we're discussing debacles. We got to talk about your Giants, man.
Awful.
I mean, Joe,
talk about another. Well, there's a lot of things happening.
Obviously, injuries.
Talk about another team with a joke of an offensive line. Talk about another team that the defense has been more active than I've seen them in years, but like there's only so much that they can do. They're not a great defense, but they have shown like bend but don't break capabilities early in games. But then the offense can't stay on the field. I mean, if you look at time of possession in that game, it was like 45 minutes to 15 minutes. Daniel Jones holds the ball too long. Daniel Jones is reckless with the ball, which a lot of young QBs can be, but he's one of those guys where he's on a bad team. And I like Daniel Jones. I want him to succeed. But at the same time, I'm like, for all the people that just wanted to blame Eli Manning forever, turns out it wasn't fucking Eli Manning. They're a goddamn bad organization, and they don't seem to be getting it right.
What happened to them, man? I mean, we're basically since that second Super Bowl, minus that 11-5 team that, you know, got boat raced by the Packers in the playoffs. They've been pretty much a disaster for 10 years, correct?
Yeah. And I think it is a combination of things, but first and foremost, again, you look at those teams that won, and I know everybody wants to, you know, hurl insults at me as an Eli Manning defender. The defenses weren't amazing. The offensive lines weren't amazing. Like, they were pretty darn good at times, and the defense certainly stepped it up in the playoffs, but it was never a point where they were this juggernaut of a team. Now, they had, you know, a top 10 quarterback of all time that came up clutch in 2 huge Super Bowls, and they had a great coach who got the best out of, you know, I think a lack of talent at times, and a great quarterback who got more than enough out of guys who you had never heard of prior to Eli Manning and making them household names. The Giants kind of coasted on what Coughlin and Eli were able to elevate other guys to. And the bottom line is, if you don't start with an offensive line and you don't start with a decent defense, at least in the secondary, they've always had like decent defensive lines, but the linebacking core, since Antonio Pierce is like, who are you? The defensive backfield always has like one guy who can play and 3 guys who are lost. And that shit is just too much to overcome. And now you've got a young quarterback who is a little bit reckless with the ball, holds it a little too long behind just one of the worst offensive lines, and they refuse to upgrade. Start there. Build the way the Niners built. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo ain't Joe Montana, but like, and honestly, your boy Russ, like, go look at the early Russ days. Like, make Daniel Jones throw for 145 yards and a touchdown and win games. Build the right way.
Yeah.
Stop asking your brand new quarterback to do whatever. I mean, they're not as good as teams that are like significantly worse than them from year to year.
Well, you know, I want to move into a discussion with the entire NFC East. I mean, Joe, I know we're 3 games in. I don't know if I've seen a worse division.
I said it yesterday. Maybe the NFL will fix their playoff thing when a 5-11 team gets in the playoffs this year.
I mean, what's going to happen here?
The Giants are 1 game back.
Yeah.
The Giants are the worst. The Giants are awful, and they're 1 game back.
Obviously, I'm here in Cincinnati, so I had a fair amount of the Eagles-Bengals game on. I mean, that Eagles team is bad. They are bad. And Carson Wentz looks bad.
That's what I said. I mean, I joked, and because every Giants fan wants to tank for Trevor, and I'm like, great, another guy who will die because he comes from a system where he hasn't been touched in college, and he comes to just being roughed up every single play. But then I even said, I don't think we can tank for Trevor because I don't think the Eagles will pass on him.
Yeah. Well, he, watching that game and then I watched the entire fourth quarter and overtime. I don't know how much of you watched, but the play calling, the Bengals are up, and in typical Bengals fashion, they blow the game with a come from behind touchdown by Carson Wentz, who did orchestrate a nice game tying drive. But then in overtime, they had the ball. Like, it was so odd. Like, Doug Peterson was content. Did you see, like, they had the ball in, like, the Bengals 41?
Well, let's just talk about that the end of the game.
Yeah.
Is like, they go off sides and they go, so you're willing to take a shot at winning the game from 59 yards, but you're not willing to take a shot at winning it from 64 yards. And then you get moved back. So you punt. Like, it's like, and everybody's been mocking it because he put out a post Super Bowl book called Fearless. And then he literally punts to end the game. It's like, if you don't believe in your defense enough to not let the other team go 30 yards and kick a field goal in like what would have essentially been like 13 seconds. If you
like
run
12 seconds.
One more play
against a rookie quarterback who's getting sacked left and right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's absurd.
Like, to me, when I watch that game,
I have said Doug Peterson has been overrated the whole time, including the Super Bowl. Before that, I said prior to that, like the reckless and just like idiotic coaching moves that he made prior to the Super Bowl, and then again in the Super Bowl season. Just because you decide to go for it on 4th down and it comes up right for an entire season doesn't mean they were the right calls. Now, congratulations, enjoy your Super Bowl ring. But like a lot of that playoff and that Super Bowl run, he was reckless and some of it was idiotic, and it just worked out for him. And now it justifies everything.
Well, I didn't see the fearless stuff, and I'm glad you brought that up because you made a great point. You're going against a rookie quarterback. Again, Burrow has been sacked by far more than any QB in the NFL. He was getting sacked left and right yesterday. You're going against the Cincinnati Bengals, the epitome of dumpster fire organization. You don't have confidence in you accepted a tie. Like, you basically accepted being friend zoned. You didn't even put up a fight. And it's embarrassing. Like, that, the way that game ended. But even before that, I don't know if you saw, it was like 2nd down. They hit the ball at the Bengals 41. They were content with just a long field goal, which I couldn't figure out. I was like, you're not even going to try to give your kicker more, a closer range to kick the ball.
Yeah.
It was just such a nightmare. Like I'll be honest.
Because he doesn't have any trust in Carson Wentz to not get sacked, to not fumble the ball, to not throw it away.
As someone from Cincinnati who knows how big of a dumpster fire the Bengals are, that game, like I honestly, I think I need counseling, and I've gone through a lot, right? I need counseling after watching that overtime. Like that wasn't football. I don't know what that was. And to me, that's the NFC East. Obviously, Washington gets smoked by the Browns. They're a nightmare. I think the Cowboys are the best team, but
what does that mean?
I was just going to say, I watched the whole Eagles game. The Cowboys DBs at one point, they had like 4 or 5 holding or passing. Like,
I mean, let's just talk about this. And I know, and trust me, look, every single person, because of all of our Russ conversations, wants to have Russ threw 5 touchdowns in the game. he threw 3 1-yard touchdowns to uncovered receivers. I mean, he had three touchdowns on the goal line, 3 1-yard touchdowns. Mike McCarthy and the defense of the Dallas Cowboys don't know that you can pretend to run the ball and not actually run it. It was like he was David Blaine turning, like he took their nose.
Yeah,
I mean, you know what I mean? He's going like, I got your nose, and they're like, bro, you have our fucking nose, dog. Like, what is happening? Where are all these, handkerchiefs coming? Like, are they up your sleeve? Like, what? He's like sawing people in half. I mean, 3 1-yard touchdowns to, like, Tyler Locke's just standing in the end zone going like, throw it to me before I get like shot, because like, why am I just standing here by myself?
The DBs on both teams. I texted Tug at one point. I go, this is painful to watch. Like, the DBs, obviously Metcalf doesn't get a touchdown. He was wide open on that play where he made an idiotic play and gave up too early. But it was bad. I agree. Like the Cowboys got pressure, but it was. I love the Alden Smith story, by the way. I want to shout that out. I love that he has not played football since 2015. I think it's such a great comeback story. And we love our comeback stories in America. And obviously he battled a lot of demons. I think that's cool. But like you said, if the Cowboys are the best team and Dak throws for 450 yards and they still lose, like, what is this team?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I just think, whoever wins the NFC East, and look, I think the Giants fucking stink. And nothing is proof of that more than having every single member of the 49ers be out yesterday and to just get boat raced and only be able to put up 9 points, not to be able to get in the end zone, not to be able to stop Nick Mullins from scoring 36 points on you. Like, the Giants, Joe, there's the NFC East from top to bottom is separated by 1 game. I don't put anybody out of the equation at this point, but whichever 5-11 NFC East team gets to host a playoff home game should be the fuel that changes the NFL playoff scenario going forward, and will lose.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll say this much about both the Cowboys and Seahawks. Neither team will do anything. Bless you.
Excuse me.
That's you sneezing at watching the NFC East
at their
teams.
Defenses. Yeah.
Neither team will do anything with secondaries that bad. Like the Seahawks are 3-0, but this will transition into talking about the Packers. The Seahawks are paper tigers. And again, you have to have a defense. I think right now, especially after watching the game last night, in my opinion, the best team in the NFC is the Packers, like, easily.
I mean, I agree with you. And once again, I mean, there are people that still have not given up on this idea. Like, once again, the talk of Aaron Rodgers' demise was a little early. Like, incredible throws. There's no lack of arm left. No Devontae Adams. I have a stat that I saw somebody share. I took a screenshot of it, and Rodgers was 13 of 17 for 160 yards and 3 touchdowns off of play action last night, staggering volume percentage of the pass game. And that was, again, without Devontae Adams. We talk about it all the time in the judging of QBs and the who's overrated, who's underrated, who has what left, who doesn't have what left, is, the Packers now, like, Aaron Rodgers was dismissed for a long time behind offensive lines that were not great. And everybody wants to give that pass to so many quarterbacks out there who struggle. Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers was never bad. And now that he has a good offensive line and a running game that sets up the whole play action pass. I mean, 13 for 17 for 160 yards and 3 touchdowns off of play action. You see it with your boy Russ. I mean, even Kirk Cousins, when he is competent, it's because they run the ball and they run play action. It opens up so much of the game when you go, we're going to set you up, we're going to run the ball, we're going to run the ball, we're going to run the ball, and then you play action and you get guys open downfield. The deep pass thing, more often than not, the deep pass comes off of play action, and the guys who are excelling in deep balls, like Aaron Rodgers suddenly is with his washed arm, is because he's able to set it up with play action. And
Well, look,
and between their defense playing good, their offensive line playing good, their running game playing good, and Aaron Rodgers being who Aaron Rodgers has always been, I just like how do you not call them the class of the NFC?
Yeah, I think they definitely are as an all-around team. And I was one of those people who thought he was on the decline, and I've 100% been proven wrong so far. He's looked absolutely phenomenal the first 3 games. That pass, I mean, I honestly thought Collinsworth was going to start masturbating on air last night. You know that dime he dropped on the move. But you know what? We're joking, but I understand why Collinsworth was so worked up. I mean, that was a absolute dime, and they look great.
And look, Aaron Rodgers may be on the decline in some regard physically. He still throws the ball very well while on the run or rolling out. He still has more than enough arm to make every throw downfield. And when you talk about ranking quarterbacks, even look, Mahomes in terms of a talent standpoint is like it's just in terms of age and physical gifts and the throws he can make, like no one's there. But when you talk about all the top quarterbacks in the league, from even the guys who are still around, the Breezes and the Bradys and the Mahomes and the Russ and the Watsons and the Lamar Jacksons, all these guys, like when you look at what Aaron Rodgers is able to do at the line with the hard counts, with the changes at the line, with all that, like he is one of those guys who, unlike sort of the new class, he's still a holdover from the Manning brothers, Brady, Breeze, these guys who like up their game when the ball's not even snapped yet. I mean, the hard counts, how many touchdowns did they lead to?
Yeah.
And playing without fans?
Yeah, well, and I'm glad that they talked about this on air. It was a great point. It's saying, how much does a smart, intelligent quarterback like Aaron Rodgers benefit from not having fans in Minnesota and then last night in New Orleans? Those are tough places to play with loud domes. And when you give a guy like Aaron Rodgers the ability to do the hard counts and change the play without fans, it's unfair.
And I honestly just think that's like, it is a holdover. And I think if you have a quarterback who can do that, just makes you that much better. It seems like nowadays teams don't even focus on like trying to develop guys that way. And maybe it's this, athleticism versus like the cerebral part of the game balance or whatever. But it just seems like the younger guys who are excelling, just like they don't do that as much.
Well, and I also want to give credit to the coach. I mean, the numbers don't lie. You say what you want about LaFleur. Is it LaFleur? LaFleur. I mean, the guy's 16-3 as a coach so far in the regular season. Like, he's winning at over 80%. So, it seems like year 2 really has things rolling for them. And again, we both agree they are the class of the NFC. The Saints are going in an opposite direction. I think Drew Brees has 100% missed Michael Thomas.
Oh yeah. And Kamara has been incredible. Great. But like, I mean, you talk about Collinsworth bonering out over Rodgers. He also like was doing like a weird semi-boner / like defense of the fact that Drew Brees only throws passes behind the line of scrimmage these days. It's like, why would you throw downfield when you got Kamara who could just do it for you? It's like, I don't know, stretch the defense a little bit. Maybe like not rely on your freak running back to like do everything for you. It's like, look, Drew Brees for a long time, and this is a Sean Payton offense thing too, has been that guy. It's the short, it's the quick hits, it's the screen game, it's all that stuff. But you know, Brees is getting old fast, and I still think the Saints will be in the mix at the end
100%.
because I from a talent level. But absolutely, when you talk about Michael Thomas, I mean, a guy who is catching 100 balls a year. Aaron Rodgers without Devontae Adams is one thing, but Drew Brees without Michael Thomas is a whole different fucking scenario.
Yeah.
And no crowd at home.
Sure. Definitely. Well, QB who I think is not getting enough love as he should, Josh Allen. I mean, can we just talk about this guy's really, really good. And I think it's because he plays in Buffalo or he went to Wyoming, but holy shit, look at this guy's numbers the first 3 games. Look what he did last year with the Bills. Can we just say Josh Allen's a really, really good quarterback?
Yeah, I think Josh Allen is a really good quarterback. I think that well, first of all, I think Josh Allen is one of those guys who you're either in on or you're out on. People don't want, for some reason, like Josh Allen. Like, he kind of goes against the modern idea of like accuracy is the most important thing, and like you got to be able to do, you got to be complete.
But Joe, real quick, I'm looking at his numbers. Let me just read these to people who don't know. He's thrown for over 1,000 yards. He's averaging 9.1 yards attempt. He's completing 71% of his passes this year. 10 touchdowns to 1 interception. The guy is playing great.
He absolutely is, and he's running the ball. I mean, I think he's got 4 rushing touchdowns, right, or 3 rushing touchdowns, something like that. So there's that whole thing. And from the accuracy standpoint, like what he's doing that people kind of said you couldn't do is he's more accurate in the NFL than he was in college. And basically the people who don't want to like him have said that. Look, I wasn't necessarily in on what Josh Allen has become, but if you go back and you listen to us, I also was like, I like Josh Allen a lot more than I like the other guys in his draft class. And I said that on the thing. It's like, at least there's this raw size, big arm, all that. Like, everybody was like, is it Baker? Is it Darnold? Is it Baker? Is it Darnold? Is it there was another guy in the draft class, and it's like, Josh Allen's pretty fucking good. And I've always been a guy who has preached about QBs who come from schools where they are the underdog on a week by week basis, because then you have to deal, like, you come to the NFL, it's not, oh, I'm getting touched for the first time ever. Talk to me about good Alabama quarterbacks, SC quarterbacks, Miami quarterbacks back in their run, Ohio State quarterbacks. Where are these guys? It doesn't happen because they come to the NFL, and for the first time in their life, they have to deal with a pass rush, and they're usually put on a really bad team because they were so good in college, aka Sam Darnold, every guy that's ever come out of Alabama, blah, 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 blah. It's like, I like that Josh Allen played at Wyoming. I like that, guys play at schools where they were sort of undermanned. That was one thing that I liked about Daniel Jones, is that he's in the ACC, but he's at Duke. Now, poor him, he survived, but, I think Josh Allen's been fantastic. And I know everybody wants to give your boy Russ the MVP already, but like, how is Josh Allen not in that discussion?
No, I 100% agree. And to me, the MVP is not 3 games. Like, we have a big season. We have Rodgers is playing great. Josh Allen's playing great. Dude, Mahomes, you can never count him out.
Lamar, the two guys playing tonight. I mean, whoever comes out of this game, like, if you get a good game out of either one of these guys and a win, like, they've got to be in the discussion. Hey, I'll tell you what, man. I'm also a free Matt Stafford guy. I'm not bringing Matt Stafford in the MVP discussion, but I like Matt Stafford. I think Matt Stafford is underrated. I think Matt Stafford has gotten a lot more shit by being on Detroit than he deserves. If he doesn't come back and win that game, I know Kyler Murray turns the ball over a lot, but like, you're 3-0 with the Arizona Cardinals in that division. Like, he's got to be an outsider on the MVP conversation.
Yeah. By the way, I think that game might have saved Matt Patricia's where it was going for his job security. Dude, if you think about it right now in the NFL and all the years you've watched, I'd say I've probably watched the NFL for 30, like as close as I could, maybe going back to age 8. I think this is one of the most exciting times I can remember for this many good quarterbacks.
I mean, I agree with you. And I think the thing that makes it especially exciting is they're all very different. Very, very different from guys. I mean, you talk about mobile. Josh Allen's mobile, Kyler Murray's mobile. They're not mobile in the same kind of way.
Exactly.
Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, they're kind of mobile in the same kind of way. Cam Newton and Josh Allen, they're kind of mobile in the same kind of way. But like you go from top to bottom, all of them from athleticism to arm strength to what they do at the line of scrimmage, it's all very different as opposed to, again, which, we still have the Bradys and the Brees and the Roethlisbergers who are sort of holdovers, but the Manning, Brady, Brees, Roethlisberger, Rivers, that was a very similar bunch of QBs.
And that's my point is like, what I love is from an athletic standpoint, and I like how you describe that. They're so different athletically and on the mobility on the field. I mean, take tonight. I mean, how exciting to watch Lamar versus Patrick Mahomes, which also still two very different quarterbacks, but what these guys can do on the field, just it gets me so excited.
And honestly, I think it goes, almost universally top to bottom in the league. I mean, I love what Burrow's doing. I love
also
Watson.
Mobile.
Yeah, I love Watson. Bridgewater's playing, he's not super exciting, but he's like playing well. Brady's still there. Like everybody, like across the league, you got literally besides Kirk Cousins, it's fun to watch. I mean, Fitz is fun to watch.
Yeah.
Literally everybody besides Kirk Cousins has something at least interesting about them.
Let's do some quick hits on these games, and I'll just pose some questions, quick discussion on each game. We just got to fire Dan Quinn at this point. Sorry, nice guy, I'm sure. Falcons, you just can't keep doing this.
I said Dan Quinn should have been fired with like 3 minutes left to go in the game. Like, honestly, the fact that he survived that long is remarkable. You either have to fire Dan Quinn immediately or give him a 14-year-old kid who plays a lot of Madden that teaches him how fucking clocks work. I mean, bro, like, how is this possible?
Yeah. And the second follow-up on that game, Mitchell Trubisky, what do we do? Just stick with Foles?
Yeah, and they are. And they're sticking with Foles. And they're 3-0. So, like, the idea, that tells you everything you need to know about your quarterback if you're going to another guy when you're undefeated.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's Nick Foles' job to lose at this point.
100%. Raiders, Patriots, I didn't watch too much of that. Seems very, a typical game where the Patriots are going to win because they're the better coach team and better all-around team.
Look, the people were talking about the stat going into it, like teams that were 2-0 coming in, like it's one of those wild, like way too particular stats. But this game lines up for a Patriots win. It was a Patriots win. The idea that Bill Belichick was ever tanking is ludicrous. He didn't get Cam Newton to tank. The Patriots are only going to continue to get better as they are able to roll out more and more things. If Cam Newton stays healthy, Bill Belichick is playing this season going like, I'm playing Cam for one season. I still think the Patriots are not to be overlooked. The Raiders, I think, are going to be fine. I think the Raiders are good. And I don't think this is certainly a blemish on their record, but I don't think it goes, oh, this exposes the Raiders. I think the Raiders are good.
Did you watch any of the Watt Brother Bowl, Texans Steelers? I
didn't. I tuned in for a minute. I sprinkled a little bit of money on the Texans money line. I didn't watch a ton though.
No, me either. I still have to laugh. I looked at an old tweet I had that I think the Watt brothers give each other muscle milk gift certificates for Christmas.
Yeah.
Don't they seem like those type of brothers?
Absolutely. or just like showing up literal cases of it and giving it to each other.
Yeah. Like, we don't have a swing set. We have an obstacle course in our backyard as kids. That's how we train, with giant tires.
Yeah, I mean the Steelers,
3-0.
Yeah, winning that game. I mean, what's your thought on the Steelers? I mean, I know you didn't watch a lot of it, but like, what's your thought on the Steelers? Are the Steelers contenders? 23 for 36, 237, and 2 touchdowns for Roethlisberger. Is Roethlisberger play 16? Are they?
I'm not ready to call them contenders now.
Okay, I'm not really either, but there are a lot of Steelers fans and Tomlin defenders and whatever out there that like never count out the Steelers.
I still think obviously the Ravens are better than them in that division. Yeah. And then you have all the other teams in the AFC. The Colts blew out the Jets. Not much to say about that game.
Just enjoy the stacks of money that you can make betting against the Jets. And the Colts, I mean, yeah, the Colts haven't really proved anything yet with kind of their competition, but they are 2-1.
The Panthers win in Los Angeles at the SoFi Stadium. Justin Herbert took some lumps. That's going to happen as a new starter.
I just think the Panthers aren't going to do anything of playoff wise or whatever this year. But if you're a Panthers fan, you got to feel great about how they're competing with a new coaching staff and a new coach.
I agree. I totally agree. And then to wrap it up, the Bucs dominate the Broncos. I had that game on. It seemed pretty easy for Brady and crew, and the Broncos are now 0-3.
Yeah. Well, the Broncos lose their quarterback. The Broncos are in a tough division.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. For some reason there were like Broncos believers and Lock believers, and then like after losing Von Miller, it's like I wrote them off before the season started.
Sure. He's the glue for that defense. Well, that's our week 3 recap. I know we both have stuff to do, but before we wrap up the show, Joe, I know I said we weren't going to talk much college football, and I don't plan on doing it because, again, it's too much of a just debacle to even understand.
I mean, not all of college football has started yet.
Exactly.
Some of it is not going to start.
So, like, it's a bunch of morons, and I don't want to allocate my time to morons, but someone I do like is Coach O, and his Bayou Bengals gave up the most yards by an SEC quarterback ever in their loss at home to Mississippi State. LSU became the first defending champion to lose their opener after a title since the 1998 Michigan Wolverines lost to Notre Dame after the title they won with Charles Woodson when he won Heisman as a defensive player. Now, I don't know if you watched the game. I wasn't feeling the best Saturday. I was drained physically and emotionally, and I just stayed in and ordered a pizza. So I did watch the game, and I did enjoy the game because it was back and forth. But fortunately, we actually have Coach O to talk about.
I'm glad because I did not watch the game, and I'm glad we can have somebody that can weigh in on it.
Yeah. So again, LSU goes down opening week to Mississippi State. And Coach O, your team gave up, let's see here, 623 yards to KJ Costello, an SEC record. What happened to the Bengals defense down there in Baton Rouge, Coach?
Well, Andy Ruther, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. And I just want to say, we going to dip into some territory here, talking about different things that happened to my team. And, some people might be sensitive to it, but it's got to be talked about. I was sort of bragging at one point that 70 of my players had gotten COVID-19. And in retrospect, that was not something to brag about. It turns out getting a deadly virus is not something that you want to run rampant through your locker room. And we can overcome a lot of things. We can overcome bad secondary play. We can overcome, injuries on the offense. But it turns out having the entire roster feeling sick and achy and potentially dying was not something that we look forward to. I gotta say, I read a lot of newspapers and watch a lot of the news reports down here in SEC country, and a lot of them were saying it was not a big deal. And I would like to say that I did buy into that, and in retrospect, that was wrong. We got our butts whipped, and it turns out for 95% of your team to all have a virus at the same time, it's not good for a football team. And you know what? Turns out some of this news ain't fake.
Coach, again, SEC record, 623 yards by one quarterback. Like it's even difficult to think, especially after you had such a great year last year. Do you think there's any hangover effect of losing your Heisman winner, Joe Burrow?
I think that you always, when you win a title, you're always going to have a hangover. And let me tell you something about hangovers, Andy Ruther. When we won the national championship, I consumed a little bit of alcohol, and I did have a hangover. And hangovers, they don't feel good. They put a hurting on your body and your mind. And so, yeah, and losing your Heisman winning superstar #1 overall draft pick quarterback, that's going to hurt. But for the guys who remain, yeah, there's a little bit of a hangover feeling. And I said, do you guys feel hungover? And they said, we really do, Coach. We really feel we got dry mouth and a headache and our body hurts. Turns out they also all had coronavirus. So, hangover and COVID-19, not good for a team's physicality.
Well, Coach, you got to get healthy. I know.
I attempted to tell the virus to suck my tiger dick, and the virus said, suck my 19 dicks. It fucked us up, Andy Ruther. I ain't gonna lie. I have not overlooked a lot of teams in my day, but the one team you don't want to overlook is the one that has killed hundreds of thousands of people world and nationwide.
No, Coach, I'll let you go with this final question. You do have a bounce back game, which I think you guys are big favorites to win this week at Vanderbilt, who are the Commodores. I know you like to focus on the mascots. Any hot takes or?
I don't know what a Commodore is. I'm not so technologically advanced. Until about 2 years ago, I was drawing up my plays on a Commodore 64 computer. So they may be a technological. Let me put it this way: if this is a battle, and again, I do not know for sure what a Commodore is, but if the matchup battle is Tigers versus late 80s computers, I think we got this one in the bag. Now, you may think, well, what you played the Bulldogs, so like Tigers should beat a fat dog with breathing issues, but you know what? It's still cats and dogs, and we got breathing issues because our entire team had COVID-19. So now it's more of an even playing field.
Well, Coach O, thank you for making that cameo, and good luck this week at Vandy.
Oh, thank you, Andy Ruther, and the Tigers will rise again.
Wow. It's been a minute. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Joe, it's always great hearing from Coach O. That was a kind of an unprompted cameo. Now you're on Cameo now yourself, right?
I am on Cameo. That's a great segue, Andy. It's a great segue. I am on Cameo now. I got the invite to join the Cameo Famio, as they call it. And I've already done a couple of cameos for folks. But I did one for a DirtBall last week down under. Congratulated him on his Aussie fantasy footy win. And I just want to say that if you were thinking about purchasing a cameo from Joe Prano, I just want you to know that I have access to guys like Coach O. So in a way, you could order a cameo from me. I can call Coach and get him on the phone. I can call Bill Walton and get him on the phone. I could call, Chris Mullen, get him on the phone.
Ooh.
A lot of different guys who I have access to in my Rolodex who could give a cameo to you. So go to Cameo. It's an app, and you can buy a cameo from me. I can wish your boyfriend a happy birthday. I could, and by the way, I'm giving discounts if you want like Bill Walton to quit your job for you or something like that. Like any quit your jobs, I'll give you 50% off.
What about, because I'm loving this. What about if I wanted a happy birthday from Coach O, Bill Walton, Stephen A. Smith, and Chris Mullen?
I feel like that's doable, provided they all answer their phones. I feel like you could get the whole team in there for a happy birthday.
Love it. All right. So everybody check that out on Cameo, Joe Prano. You can follow us on Dirty Sports on Twitter and Instagram at The Dirty Sports. You can follow me at Andy Ruther. Rate, review, subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you can. Once again, much love and thanks to everybody for the support. And I'll keep needing it, guys. I'm not going to lie. This is not going to be an easy road for me. And I know that, but I am looking forward to flying back to Los Angeles on Wednesday. I will be back for 10 days. So Joe and I will get our final 10 days together before I officially do come back to Cincinnati. And I look forward to that.
Yeah, Andy, it's honestly great to have you back via Zoom. I have a level of excitement about doing the show in person with you in the Smut Studio again that I've never felt before, whether I was on the road, whether even after your months back in Cincinnati. I think it'll be great to get back on the show and just get some good positive energy going. And I can't wait for you to be back. So hurry home, pal.
Cool. Thanks, man. And we'll discuss off air. I have some fun stuff planned to honor my dad, the late, great Walt Ruther. I want to do some stuff for next episode in his memory.
If you believe in that sort of thing, we got the Reds in the playoffs. We got the Bengals tying games, which is better than losing them.
True.
We got Chris Collinsworth boning out over two different quarterbacks. Yesterday was a little bit of a celebration of Walt in the sports world.
It was. It truly was. Well, Dirtballs, thanks again. Look forward to coming back. I am just like Joe is excited. I am extremely excited to get back to Venice, to get back home to the Smut Studio. Everybody have a great week. Stay safe. And as always, stay dirty.